This is the OriginBot, which uses the RDK X3 I talked about in my last video, link at the top and in the description. I'm going to show you how to build it, starting with attaching the wheels to the chassis, fixing the camera on the front, attaching the battery and standoffs to the controller board, then fixing it to the chassis with more standoffs, then screwing the RDK board on top. From the RDK, we add the serial cable, USB connection, and motor cables. After the RDK connections, we add the LiDAR board and LiDAR because this is the navigation version of the robot. Then plug the camera and LiDAR USB connections in. Let's dive into building the robot from the ground up. This is my OriginBot box. This box had everything I needed, including a screwdriver, but it didn't have a battery. And while it comes with an SD card reader, it wasn't very reliable. I'd recommend using your own. If you'd like a battery recommendation, check the link in the description. The chassis came with motors and caster already assembled, so I'm going to attach the wheels to the sides. You can see the underside of the chassis and the caster wheel here. The two holes are on the front of the chassis, as this is where the camera is mounted. From that, you can tell that this is the left motor connection and this is the right motor connection. To mount the camera, we'll take this simple bracket and the plate that fits onto its front. We also need the camera itself. Mine is USB, but yours might be MIPI. These are the parts I got for building the robot. For the camera, we'll need the parts in bag 1 for the bracket, and these screws for attaching the bracket to the chassis. Screw the bracket on. Next, attach the standoffs to the mounting plate, one at a time. You can then screw the camera onto the standoffs. Make sure the wires feed through the notch. Once complete, attach the camera plate to the bracket with the two large screws. You can use these screws to adjust the camera angle. Next up is the controller for the OriginBot. This is a custom board made by OriginBot, and it has motor connections, charging port, on-off switch, flashing USB port, onboard processor, and IMU, to name some parts. We want to fit it onto the chassis here. First, because the RDK will mount on top of it, we'll attach spacers. Use the parts in bag 3 and put the spacers on top of the board, then screw them in from underneath. Repeat this for all 4 holes within the white outline on the controller board. We'll use the standoffs from bag 4 for the chassis. Beware that there are 2 sizes of standoff. We want the longer ones here, and we'll use the shorter ones later. Screw the standoffs onto the chassis. Next, I'm going to plug the battery in. I normally wouldn't recommend doing it at this point, but my battery has a very short cable that makes it hard to attach once the board is screwed down, so I'm doing it first. Screw the controller board with the battery underneath to the standoffs in the outer 4 corners. The OriginBot logo should be next to the camera. Next, we're again using bag 4 to get the smaller standoffs, and we unpack the RDK board from its box. I've already got the heatsink attached, so just peel the heatsink tape back and stick it down. If you have the navigation version of the robot like I do, use the smaller standoffs to screw it down, otherwise use normal screws. The Ethernet port should be at the back of the robot above the battery connection. Now we need to connect the two boards together. First, the USB-C connector provides power from the bottom board to the top. Next is a serial connection, which uses these 3 pins. Use the 3-color cable with the black wire attaching to ground. On the RDK, the black wire is going to the 3rd pin from the right. Skip 2 pins, then plug the cable into this row. We can also plug the motor cables in at this point if you haven't already. This interface board allows the LiDAR to connect to the RDK. The LiDAR here will be mounted on top. To connect the board, make sure the USB-C connection is just above the USB ports on the RDK. Use spacers and screws on the 3 holes forming a triangle. You can now screw the interface board on top of the standoffs. If the board isn't lying flat, you've probably mixed the standoff sizes up. Double check the controller board is flat too. With the board down, we can attach the LiDAR. Plug the cable into the interface board and screw the LiDAR to the spacers. Now that everything is secure, we just need to plug all the cables in. Feed the camera USB cable under the board and tuck it in. Then insert it into the RDK. Use the short cable to connect the LiDAR into the USB 3 port on the RDK. Here, I've realized that I attached the camera upside down, so I'm just flipping it the right way up. The cable should be on the bottom. It's now ready to turn on and check everything is plugged in. Turn the power switch on and check the light by the battery cable lights up red. Look at the front of the RDK and check the light comes on. If you haven't set up the SD card yet, you may not get a green light. We'll look at how to flash the board in the next video. Turn the switch under the LiDAR on and make sure it spins. This is how it takes distance readings in all directions. We can't tell if the camera is working until we boot the board. Check back in the next video for how to flash the controller board and the SD card for the RDK.